Hall of Fame has announced the game in July will feature the Chargers and the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
Antonio Gates is going into the Hall of Fame in Canton.
Right on.
That ceremony that weekend. So the Chargers, who have not played in the Hall of Fame game since 1994, will get the chance to play there. So that's kind of cool.
Did you go to that game?
I broadcast
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, we played the Atlanta Falcons. It was a terrible game because, Justin Herbert will play one series and hand off 3 times, and that'll be the extent of his Hall of Fame game experience. But I mean, it's great for the fans, and you get to go to the Hall of Fame. It's so cool. Funniest story. So we're in training camp, and so we go in early to Canton, and we have an hour and a half window just for the Charger traveling party to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I've been there prior, and it's such a great place. So I walk in the door, and I'm just kind of eyeing the players, and the players are walking around, and I look off to the corner where there's a bust. And who's standing is the only guy standing next to that bust. All the other players are in groups. Mm-hmm. Look at this. It's John Carney, the field goal kicker, standing next to the bust of Lou Groza.
Oh, jeez.
Kicker. That was it.
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
Paying homage.
Yeah, exactly. So anyhow, Hall of Fame game will be the Chargers versus the Detroit Lions the weekend that they enshrine Antonio Gates. ESPN. This is an awful story. How you get yourself involved in this, just stunning. Shannon Sharpe is filing a defamation of character lawsuit against a Texas lawyer and a woman that he dated and had a relationship with. She's accused him of rape. He says it was consensual. The lawyer, Tex Busby, has released an audio file of a phone call in which Shannon Sharpe and the woman got into an argument. He threatened to choke her. Supposedly, he also, the lawyer, is going to release an edited video of the encounter, which Sharpe says was consensual. It was not sexual. And then now Shannon Sharpe is threatening to release texts from the woman who invited him over to get involved. So he says he's innocent, and they both agreed to do whatever they did. The lawyer and her say, no, it was outright rape. Shannon Sharpe offered her $10 million just to settle this thing, make it go away. They've asked for $53 million.
Unbelievable.
So now there's all kinds of criticism of Shannon Sharpe. Well, if you did nothing wrong, why would you offer $10 million to walk away? And then Shannon Sharpe is barking, and he's talking about it on TV. He says, they're trying to smear me. They're trying to portray this African-American as being a bad guy who raped a woman. That's not the case. You're a public person, public persona. Why would you ever allow yourself to get involved with this that way? Amazing story there. Terrible story in Chicago. I saw the video clip very early yesterday morning. Legendary 1985 defensive tackle Steve McMichael, who played with the Fridge, Mike Singletary, the Ditka Bears, Jim McMahon, and all that, fought an unbelievable battle against Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. I saw a video clip early yesterday morning. Bears players were at his house. Singletary, Richard Dent, a number of other players, Wilbur Marshall, a few others. They escorted the family and him into hospice. He died last night at 5:30.
Wow.
Hell of a guy. Self-made guy from Texas, University of Texas. 95 quarterback sacks as a defensive tackle. I mean, we always thought the Fridge and Richard Dent were great players. This guy was an equally great player. The most moving thing I saw last summer, speaking of the Hall of Fame, was McMichael was enshrined into the Hall of Fame, but he was bedridden and too ill to attend. Singletary and Richard Dent wore their Hall of Fame jackets to the hospital where McMichael had just been readmitted because of ALS. And they presented McMichael with his plaque and his yellow jacket in his hospital bed. It was so cool. So that's why yesterday when I saw the video of Singletary and those guys at his house accompanying him in his final hours, and I didn't know it
Wow.
was his final hours, but it went to the hospice center. So sad story, but man, he fought double team blocks like a warrior and had 95 sacks. And he fought ALS like a warrior for years and years and years. Nice man. Passed away age 67. Last topic, the Raiders story. They don't need bad news, but Pete Carroll's got bad news. Christian Wilkins, a big money defensive tackle they signed last year from Miami, suffered a major knee injury early in the season. And at the beginning of the season, the Raiders defensive front with him and Max Crosby, they played really well. And every one of those guys got hurt. Christian Wilkins has had another setback and in his rehab and is now going to miss the start of this coming season. Pete Carroll had expected him back. That's a big setback. So that flips back to the first round. If the Raiders don't get Genty, then they'll take the defensive tackle from Michigan. They probably have to take a defensive tackle, obviously now because of the Christian Wilkins setback. So we got the Hall of Fame, Shannon Sharpe doing what Shannon Sharpe does. You got the Bears, you got the Raiders. John, go ahead.
Okay, I don't know. Let me see how I can express this thought.
This ought to be a whopper.
Yeah. So we all enjoy you breaking down all the sports, and you've got your hacksaw stick, your gloss, you got the words you say it, how you say it, and the whole style about it. And I love that every minute of it. But whenever we get into a situation where some athlete, goes into the danger zone and starts to get in trouble, and suddenly Hacksaw is reporting on sexual assault cases and rape, that's just really out of character and really kind of unnerving, almost uncomfortable as a listener to hear you get into that.
But you have to cover the story. Don't you have to cover the story?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
And why is he talking about it the way he's talking about it?
Well, Shannon Sharpe is a character in his own right. But, when you're a celebrity like that, you probably attract some of that. You've just got to have a good filter to be able to know who to, push aside and then who you think you can trust. But, the other comment is that the Chicago Bears story, I mean, his dent in the fridge, went into the hospital and brought him the plaque and the jacket. I mean, it's just fantastic. But I'm just thinking, is that 1985 Bears roster is full of like comic book superheroes on that team.
Oh, led by McMahon.
Oh, yeah.
And Perry.
Yeah. And Sweetness.
Yes.
And yeah, certainly the refrigerator. I mean, there's just so many. I mean, Ditka, there's so many personalities on that team.
Da Bears.
Yeah. So I just liked hearing that. That was a special
Saturday night skit they did about Ditka was really cool. If you remember that Saturday Night Live.
Well, they always had those guys that were from Chicago.
Yeah.
The Chicago guys. And
Second City guys.
Yeah, but there was one skit on SNL where I think, and I've always been trying to find the replay of it, and I can never find it, where they said, well, what do you think 1985 Bears show up and they use Ditka as quarterback, but not a full-size Ditka, but like a half-size Ditka. And, and they go, Bears 82, Dolphins 6.
With the twang.
Yeah, exactly. It's really
cool.
good.
So, we'll think a lot about Steve McMichael. Hell of a guy. Courageous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's the unsung hero on that defensive line because we always remember the other two guys.
We get to halftime. Hope you're enjoying.